You're listening to Brick by Brick, a podcast by the Brownstone Experience. I am Felicia, and I will be interviewing women of color entrepreneurs at the table. We'll learn more about their entrepreneurial journey, lessons they've learned, and tools they use to remain successful. Enjoy. Hi again. Yes, thank you so much for being here, Sydney Carter. We are now at the table. And ladies, if you haven't gone to watch us on the couch, we got to know a little bit more about Sydney, but now we're at the table. We'll talk about all things business. So how does that make you feel?
I like being about my business.
Come on, be about your business. Yes. So we can kind of just jump right in because I'm sure that the opportunities are, a plethora of opportunities now with your, again, just you being thrust into the limelight. And so what does that look like for you these days?
It looks busy.
Yeah.
It looks like, every time I'm checking like a social media post or something like that, like I've got a lot of people saying, hey, like I would love for you to wear this. I would love to make this for you. Luckily, I have my agent, Taylor Berner, who I can say, hey.
Shout out to Taylor.
Who I can say, hey, girl, just got this, forwarding it to you. Please handle. And so she does a lot of the heavy lifting for me.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you so much for accepting the invitation to a small Black woman-owned startup magazine.
Part.
Yes, thank you so much. We're all about fashion, wellness, beauty, and creating a space where there isn't really a place for luxe apparel and to talk about all the things that concern us as Black women in our community. And I think as an athlete, you guys there's been a lot of new partnerships where you can kind of dibble and dabble in both, right? You're more than an athlete.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself? I know we talked a little bit about it on the couch, but let's get into more specifics, like brand partnerships. How do you feel about brand partnerships?
So I love that. I love to be able to, be able to help people with their brand. So like I have a lot of people that obviously reach out like, hey, I'm a Black-owned business, or I do a lot of things out of my house right now, but I see myself here in 5 years. And so that excites me because everybody has started from somewhere. So I love the idea of that because I think the best thing happens for them. Obviously, with me already being in the spotlight, I try to use that to help people.
Yes.
So brand partnerships are kind of fun for me.
Yeah. And then you have some larger brand partnerships. Would you like to share?
Yeah, so I've done some stuff with Uber already. I did, what else? Some things with Nike. So those are just to name a few. I'm not sure what I can name currently right now, but I do have some exciting things coming in the future, and so I'm really excited about
Congratulations. Yes. And so are you getting the opportunity to be creative when it comes to these, the partnerships?
Yes. And so I will say briefly, there's some clothing. So I'm getting the chance to do some stuff with my own creativity and some things that I like to do. Trying to cross over into the beauty world as well. So just doing a lot of stuff with makeup, and so I'm tapping into different areas of my creativity. And so I'm being challenged a little bit because I haven't done this before. So it's fun for me.
It's fun, yeah. So I'm going to take us back a little bit into your professional basketball career.
Okay.
What are some of the misconceptions about women's basketball?
Well, I think that a lot of people think that that's all we do. I think people just think that we're just athletes. I also think that they think everybody should look a certain way. There's like a stereotype that people think, okay, all women that play basketball are manly looking. And for one, I don't like that because I think that everybody should just be allowed to look the way that they are comfortable looking. Like if people want to use more like a unisex look, like just let people be.
Let them be.
So I think a lot of the stereotype is that women they're just athletes, like they're just that, and they look a certain way. They can't do anything else. Like their game is not fun. Like there's so many different things. And the women's game, I think, is so disrespected in so many ways. And so I think what I've been able to do just by people noticing what I do is bringing a positive light back to women's basketball and women's sports in general. Like there's so many women out there that are advocating for the equality in women's sports in general. And so I'm personally enjoying that.
Yes, a lot of that happening right now. What type of advice would you give a young lady who aspires to play basketball professionally?
I think the best thing to do is to let her know, like, you're never gonna learn too much. Like, I think a lot of people get to a certain point and they're like, okay, I'm comfortable, like I'm here, I'm on a certain level, and there's always somebody that's outworking people, and so I think like that's just the main thing is always be open to learning, because you can learn something from literally everybody, even if it's something you're learning what not to do, you're still learning something at the end of the day.
That's a gem right there.
Yeah.
Even if you're learning what not to do, you're still learning.
I've done that a lot in my career.
Yes.
Like, I want to be a head coach one day, and so I've taken pieces from a lot of different people that I've seen, and I study the game so much because it's a part of my life. So I learn things, what to do, what I want to keep, what I want to take, what I want to leave.
Yeah.
So it's all a process.
That's awesome. So in coaching world, right now you're a player development coach. And so what does that trajectory look like for you to go up to head coach?
So I think a lot of people don't realize what I do. Like, they think, okay, since it's not just coach, that I don't do a lot. And I actually do a ton. Like, I'm on the court, I'm working with kids, but I'm also doing other things outside of that is helping them prepare for the real world. So, like, helping them with community service things to do. Just helping them in any type of way possible off the court that has nothing to do with basketball, and then I'm the basketball piece as well. So
That's nice.
I carry quite the load, but I love the grind of what I do. And so I think a lot of people, have a misconception of what I do, and I've never felt the need to explain that. So I'm glad that you asked that, just to give people more enlightenment. But I think, obviously the next thing for me is, since I am a coach, like, the next thing for me will be to probably kind of ride the wave of being an assistant, and then, once I feel like, okay, I'm ready to run my own program, that's going to come with time. And I always tell people, you never know when you're ready until you actually sit in that seat.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't think that I'm not ready to be a head coach yet. I just don't know until I actually get there, and then I'm going to learn on the way.
And then you'll learn on the way. Yeah, and experience, right, will be the greatest teacher. And what a blessing to be at your alma mater.
Yes.
Like, full circle.
I know. It's amazing.
Yes. So when you finished playing professional, would you consider that entrepreneurial in any way?
I actually didn't. When I finished playing, I was kind of forced into retirement because of injury. And so I think this is another thing that drives me, is like, I knew that I wanted to coach, but I didn't know how soon. And so I was trying to figure out so many things that I was interested in. Obviously, fashion being one of them. Like, how could I make that crossover? But I didn't know how.
Wow.
But I didn't start thinking about that till late. And so I'm always telling, like, my student athletes, like, we got to start thinking now. It's never too early to start thinking about other avenues that you want to touch. I never thought about it. And then when I started to coach, I was like, this might be my lane. Like, I know this is where I'm going to be different, because this is my style. This is how I present myself. And then it just happened to turn into this.
That's so awesome. That's awesome, because you get to do both.
Yes.
You get to do both. And it really shows in, like, your action shots and on the court. I think we're all here for it.
Thank you. I try to tell people, like, what's wrong with me being able to look good and do my job well at the same time? Like, those two things can go hand in hand. It doesn't have to be just one.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of what the Crown Act, stands for in hair.
Yes.
What you're doing with clothing, right? I can wear what I want to wear. And so I'll end with this. What are 3 tools or resources that you would like to share that help you to remain successful, that you use on a daily basis?
Ooh, well, number one is my agent. Taylor is, you just need somebody that will, like, we've developed a friendship, but I think you need somebody that's also going to be able to tell you, like, all right, like, you got to be about your business. So this is how this needs to go. This is how that needs to go. So, like I said, she does a lot of the heavy lifting for me. So I think you need somebody that's not only going to be your friend, but is also, like, Mrs. Get It Done or Mr. Get It Done. So that's number one. Number 2 would probably be, I think you just have to rely on, this is different, but prayer is everything. Like, you got to keep God at the center of everything and know that, like, at the end of the day, everything that's happening, he already knew was going to happen. I think it's a big part of my life because every morning when I wake up, like, I'm thanking God and I'm not asking for a thing. I'm just saying thank you. So I think that that's a big part of me just being able to keep my head on straight and keeping my faith in line with everything that I'm doing. And then number 3, remaining yourself at the end of the day. Like I said, don't compromise who you are just because maybe you get some status or you feel like you have to be somebody you're not. Not letting the world bring so many insecurities on you to make you feel like you have to be somebody different. I think those 3 things are the main thing that keep me in line with what I'm trying to do.
So good. So good. We can kind of break those up and go into those, but we
can.
won't do that today. Yeah, well, I mean, we're remaining yourself because when you step into a space, right, and if you feel like it's not for you, then it's probably not for you.
Right.
And I think that over my career, from, I guess, undergrad, finishing undergrad, that's when you come out as an adult, and you step into these spaces and you may think it's you, but really it's just not the space you should be in and should pivot. And I really want young girls to understand that the earlier the better.
For sure.
Yes.
And there's a healthy way to take up space. Like you say, like, when you're taking up space in the area that you're supposed to. And when you're not, you gotta move around.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Thank
you. You said prayer and you post your calendar, your post-it note.
I do every day.
Every morning.
Yeah,
every
so
morning.
If you follow me, I try to make sure, like, everybody knows. You never know when that message is specifically for you. So if you clicked on that day, like, you were supposed to see that message. And so I try to enlighten the world as much as I can.
Yes, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, like, and share so that others will learn about Brick by Brick by the Brownstone Experience. You can also learn more about our guests by going to our website, The Brownstone Experience.